YouTube, LJ Draco here. I was going to do my other two reviews tonight of Wreck-It Ralph and Tangled, but I thought there was no point doing the reviews as I put a few up and they're not getting many views, so I thought maybe I'll just leave the reviews today and just do something a bit new, something that's different. Just do my video diary, which I explained in previous videos. That's going to be it's not like all in one video, but it's like some of my worst films and most of my best films. And every Friday I'm going to get a bunch of new films that I've liked and some that I hated, and do the video about that. Also, as an extra, I'm going to do top 10 3D films that have surprised me. But to start off, I'm going to go through my my best films, and probably I was going to go in like my best to my not so least best, but still one of my favourites. My best is going to be a bit of a surprise to a lot of people. My favourite film of all time is actually Moulin Rouge. People are probably going to go, okay. I'm going to explain why. The main reason I love this film is purely the story. Poor British writer who is completely obsessed with love. I used to do poetry, and love is probably my most favourite subject in the world. But he goes to France and Paris, where he goes to a place called the Moulin Rouge, which translates as the Red Windmill. And he falls in love with a prostitute. Now, people who've seen this film, you know, it's either this is like Marmite. You either love it or you hate it. There's no in between. It's okay. It's either it's great or it's horrible. This is my favorite film because it just shows that a man who had nothing going for him and a woman who didn't believe in that kind of stuff just stopped everything and made it all about them. This is the Steelbook edition, and it's got it's still got the 2 discs, but they're different. I've also got a normal, just a case copy of the 2 disc one as well, because I'm absolutely obsessed with this film. It's my most favourite film ever, and it's probably the film I've watched the most. I watched this film on repeat for a week, all day, every day, without turning it off. I could not stop, and I guess you all know then my favourite song out of the entire film is Come What May, purely because that has such passionate words and just means a lot in the actual terms of love. It shows them how bad a relationship can get, or whatever you have to do in order to make the other person happy. You'll always love that person. It's just kind of, it touches on a personal level. It's just really, really interesting. That's number 1 of my favourites. Okay, number 2 is my first top 3 are musicals. Yeah, actually I've got to do it in reverse order because the next one I was going to show is actually my third favourite, not my second favourite. My second favourite is Rocky Horror Picture Show. When I was a kid, I used to do word for word every lyric, every scene. I used to do just throughout the entire day. I'd know every word for word, whether it's music or just talking, all the actions, all the voices, and it's absolutely amazing. It's a great, great film. It's cheesy, it's old, it's Tim Curry in drag, but it's awesome. It's an amazing film. I've got this weird edition though where the spine's kind of reversed, which I don't particularly like, but I just like the inner casing. You've got Frankenfurt on this side where it says, "It's not easy having a good time. Even smiling makes my face ache." Then you've got Riff Raff on the back, who is, "It's outstanding, time is fleeting, madness takes its time." And then you've got a picture of Magenta, Columbia, and Frankfurter, and I'm sorry, but Columbia is my complete favourite. I love her. Little Nell, her name is. I absolutely love her. As a kid, I used to think she was the most attractive one in the whole thing. But yeah, it's also got this nice kind of disc art where they all match up to their pictures in the back. Other than this one's kind of slanted. There we go. And it's just a really nice addition. And just there of Janet. And just the songs are brilliant. It's cheesy. It's hilarious. It's even got Christopher Biggins in it. And I don't know if anyone knows who Christopher Biggins is, but he was also in the I'm a Celebrity a couple of years back. Yeah, he's in it as a young man. He's wearing a little silk suit and he's dancing. There's also a little dancing midget. It's just really cool. And whoever's seen this film, you can agree that the narrator is probably the funniest out of the whole thing. I love the narrator. He's what makes this film worth watching. So this is number 2 on my top 10 favourite films. Okay, number 3 is Repo Genetic Opera. Now this is a big step up from them two. It's kind of like a mixture of both. It's really good. It's really gruesome. You got Anthony Stewart Head. You know, you've got what's her name now? I say her name a lot and I've forgotten. Sarah Brightman, Paris Hilton, and Alexis Vega, who's the little girl from Spy Kids, is now all grown up and gothic-y and singing. Really good. It's proper like heavy rock metal opera. It's amazing. If you haven't seen this, I suggest you do watch it. It's done by what's his name? Yeah, Darren Lynn Bousman from the one. I think he's the one that helped with Saw. But it's a really great film. Music's good. It's gritty, but it's awesome. It's absolutely awesome. Now a couple of these are going to show you from like a couple of these are like blasts from the past. Number 4 is Indian in the Cupboard. I remember watching this when I was like, well, when did this come out? Because I know I was really young when I watched this. It's a pity it doesn't say, really. Oh, no, that's 1996. I was 3 when this came out, and I absolutely loved it. I loved the story. I was a massive. I loved my toys as a kid, and it's like the real life Toy Story. It was, you know, you turn the key in the cupboard and then the toys would come to life. That was awesome. I always wanted that cupboard, you know. But it's awesome. It's just but yeah, you know, you got a little boy who for his birthday gets bought this little cupboard, and his mum has this random key that her grandmother left her, or her mother left her. She gives it to her son on her birthday, and he finds out, he puts an Indian in the cupboard, and he turns the key, turns it back, and the Indian comes to life. It's just a really good film. I mean, you've got oh, I can't remember the names of the people. But it's a pity because they're a lot of really good actors. The cowboy's funny. You got Steve Coogan in this as a British medical officer. One of the toys. It's just a really good film. If you like Toy Story and you like the idea of that, watch this. There's a really cool scene where he puts a bunch of just random toys in the cupboard, and you've got like Darth Vader versus a dinosaur and RoboCop versus a little stick thing. It's just hilarious. Okay, so that's number 4. Number 5, before Moulin Rouge came out, this is probably my most favourite. What was my most favourite film as a kid? Really, it was number 1 at the time. And that's Never Ending Story. Now, if you're a 90s child, you remember this. I mean, this came out way before I was born, 1984. So just over about 9 years. 9 years before I was born, if I'm correct. But it just when you were a kid growing up, and this was always on TV. It was on every kind of holiday, I remember. But they had other sequels and stuff which just wasn't as good. The original Never Ending Story with Atreyu and I think it was Bastian and Artek and the Rock Biter, you know, the Hobgoblin, and you know, the Racing Snail. This is a really good film. And no matter how old I get, how old this film gets, it still remains awesome in my heart. It's really cool. Boy just goes into school, gets bullied a lot, reads a book, turns out that the book in some weird reality is real, and this boy's just reading these people's lives, and it's quite a great film. If you've never seen it, and you want to try and get like oldish films that are really good, this is definitely one of them to get. Another kids' classic of mine, yet again to do with the same kind of thing of Indian in the Cupboard. Small Soldiers, I'm sorry, but this film rules. You got Tom Lee Jones as Major Chip Hazard. I don't know the guy that plays Archer, but you've got the Gorgonites and the Commando Elite. You've also got Kirsten Dunst in this as a kid, which another film I've got, which will be in this video. But again, Small Soldiers, a great film. It's a great action / kids film with a lot of good comedy, and it's absolutely, it's got the nice little writing up here by the person who made it. It's just a really great film. If you haven't seen this one, I suggest you get it. It's old, but it's great. Okay, next couple of films. Most people might not know. I know 2 of them are mostly popular, so more than likely will. One to me is a comedy, which I had to get from America, but works on my player. It's not even a multi-regional. But the film that was hard to get, and it's called Almost Heroes. It's got Chris Farley and Matthew Perry, and it's basically a film about they're trying to find the Pacific Ocean, and Hunt is a low bottom feeder who's played by Chris Farley. He's like a low bottom feeder hunter who nearly gets hanged because he always gets drunk and he made a mess of a hall where soldiers were trying to eat. And then Matthew Perry comes in and says that he wants him for his quest to look for the Pacific Ocean. And it just goes all downhill from there, really. It's basically like the original without a paddle. if I have to explain it. It's the original without a paddle, but with Matthew Perry and Chris Farley, 2 very great comedic actors. It's a really good film to watch. So I suggest, it's hard to watch if you're in the UK. Amazon's selling it quite cheap to get, and it comes quite quickly, so if you want to get it from there, it does work on a British player. But if you're in America, it probably will be around there at some point, and it probably will be cheap to pick that up too. So yeah, just if you haven't seen it, get it. It's really good. It's really good. I'm gonna do these next 4, but I'm gonna do 2 at a time because they're all linked, really. Now, 3 of these films, well, 2 I'm showing you at the moment, are basically on probably my most favourite actor of all time. I've got 3 top actors. It goes, well, the one I'm going to show you, I'll show you now what I say it is Robin Williams. Rest in peace, Robin Williams. I love Robin Williams, and I was completely under shock when I found out that he'd passed away, and there is nothing that will ever seem to replace his films in my heart. It's just something that is quite emotional to me. I do love Robin Williams. Second would be Rick Mayall, a great British comedy actor who passed away as well. Same goes, nothing will be able to replace him. He was a brilliant actor, made a lot of people's lives worthy, and just gave people that kind of comedic thing. These 3 actors have all got something linked, and the next is Jim Carrey, and I will never accept the news if he passes away. But anyway, 2 of his best films, Jumanji and Mrs. Doubtfire. These are the two of the best comedy films that he's in. There's loads that I've seen, but these are my 2 most favourite. Mrs. Doubtfire, purely for this is the original Mrs. Brown Boys, and as much as I love Mrs. Brown's Boys, Mrs. Doubtfire will always come first, and it's purely because it was original, it was new, it was different, and it was only something that Robin Williams could pull off at the time, you know. But yeah, it's a really great film. A lot of people have watched this, so everyone knows what this film was like, and you know how brilliant he is and how funny it was, and just everyone should already own this. And if you don't even know what the film's about, you are really missing out. It's just one of those comedies that you cannot live without on your shelf, and I love this film. And Jumanji, it goes the same. You know, it's just, I guess it's every gamer's worst nightmare but best dream come true. It's just where the game becomes real, really, and it all goes wrong. But it's really, really good. It's amazing. Mrs. Doubtfire is the same. He's a husband, father who misses his kids, wants to see his kids dressed up as a woman to get to see him. You know, it's just, they're both really incredible films, and I love these. These are probably my 2 best comedy films I'll ever own, really. Yeah. The next 2, they're quite emotional films. One's got Robin Williams in again, another's got other people, but they're both practically the same kind of idea. and they both reached to me on another personal level. One is What Dreams May Come. Now, if you haven't seen this, I mean this, if you haven't seen it, you've got to watch it. I've seen atheists watch this film and become religious because it's just a really incredible film. I absolutely love this film. There's another film to look out for. It's not as good as this, but it's on that same kind of line. Well, there's two, because the one I'm going to show you in a minute. But the other one is called Pay It Forward, with Haley Joel Osment and Kevin Spacey. Really good film. If you haven't seen that one, I suggest you get that and watch that, or watch that either. The other great film is called Lovely Bones. Now, they both have the same kind of idea. They're both about losing people. And they both put me in tears completely, pretty much after the first half an hour watching both. And I've constantly cried throughout both films. They are amazing, incredible films, and they just deserve to be watched. I mean, they are absolutely amazing films, and for a lot of guys, you know, I hate those guys that sit there and go, "Oh yeah, chick flick, boring, emotional." No, they're cowards. They're too shy to show their emotions. But these ones would put them in their place, really. If you haven't got them, get them. If you've got them, watch them, really. Yes, that's my. I know there's more than 10. There's about 11 there, but I just had to show certain ones together. But they're my top 10 favourite films of all time. I haven't got 10 of my most worst. There's a small part at the moment because I couldn't think of any others at the time. But I've got 6. I'll start off in order with these as well, really. First one is a lot of people like this movie. I didn't find it funny, I didn't find it interesting, and I love a lot of the DreamWorks films, but this didn't have anything going for me. The characters were silly, the acting was silly, the story was silly. I didn't find this interesting in one bit. That could just be my opinion, but I really didn't like it. Next film I don't particularly hate, it's just I love the story until the ending. The ending's what's made me hate it the most. And that's Sinister. I loved the story. It was a great film, it had a great story, but then the ending had to go and ruin it where... Spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it, I guess you just skip. But... the bit where I'm not going to say, because if you've seen it, you already know what I'm talking about. It makes no sense. It ruined the whole film for me. I liked the film up until that, and I was just like, no, okay, no. So yeah, that's my second worst. A lot of people are probably saying I'm stupid for not liking this film. It's just, it was too predictable. If you've seen Sixth Sense, and you've seen a bunch of other films that's like Sixth Sense, you knew what was going to happen. That's all I've got to say about that one. The next two I'm going to show together because they're both on the same kind of level again, and that's The Last Airbender and the Dragon Ball movie. Last Airbender movie had nothing to do with the show, and as people say it does, they couldn't pronounce the guy's name right. The actors they chose are terrible. The story was terrible for the film, and it was just a pointless waste of money, and the fact that they tried to make it the movie the way they did was absolutely horrible. It was terrible. I didn't enjoy this at all. I mean, I only picked it up because it was like 25p, and it's the only reason I got that one. This I don't mind as much. I do kind of like this movie, only because James Masters is in it, and he plays the bad guy. But I never watched the show because I didn't like the show Dragon Ball. To be honest, that's probably why I don't like the film. It's not a great film. And this next movie, I tell you what now, I don't actually hate it. It's just probably the worst movie I've ever seen in my life. But I guess if you want a really good laugh at really crappy movies, like Poundland movies, you gotta get this. The Iron Hero. Now, I know what you're thinking about looking at the picture. what a total rip-off of Iron Man. I'm not even joking. Look how bad this is. Look at that. The heart of Superman, the mind and body of Terminator. Part man, part machine, all hero. No, it really isn't. It's not at all. It's a really horrible movie, but it's so horrible that you have to own it. It's such a terrible film, but you've gotta have it. It's it's hard to explain. It's such a terrible film, but it's so good. If you watch it, you'll see what I mean. It's really, really bad. But those are my best movies to my worst movies for this week. Next week I'm going to try and find just at least maybe 5 of each category, because it's hard to choose more than 5 at the moment when you're rushing for the video. But at the end of this video I do have a special thing I said at the beginning, is my top 10 surprising 3D films, which means ones that basically I wasn't expecting to be good and turned out to be great, which is quite shocking to me. I have got loads more that done that, but I just chose the top 10 that, for me, like ones that I didn't think were going to be good. So I'll start off with, I done a review about the other day, which is Beauty and the Beast. I'm not going to talk much about this one because I've already said about what I thought of this and how good it got me with it. But the 3D was awesome, the picture was awesome, the sound is awesome, everything is great about it. Next film, which I was meant to do a review about today, but I left it, is Tangled. I watched Frozen before I got my cable and my player, and there was no 3D, and I thought, oh, this is what Frozen looks like, Tangled's going to be so much worse. And Tangled blew my mind. Tangled, yeah, again, like Beauty and the Beast, this was full screen. 3D was perfect, the lanterns were coming out, the screen, just there was so much just colour, and there's so much to this movie that was totally brought me to shock. So yeah, 3D Tangled was absolutely amazing. That's the second film that shocked me. They're not all in order of what my favourite to the worst one is. These are just in order of the way I've gone on my shelf, so it's going to probably go like Disney's and then down that way. Next is Tron. I saw this at cinemas, and the 3D was okay, but then I bought the copy when I got my TV, and I watched it on my TV, and the motorbike race scene in this is just absolutely mind blowing. The full screen colour, just everything about that movie just brings 3D so much closer to. It's like you're not even watching it on TV. It's like you're just standing there and watching it. That's how great this film brings out the 3D. It's amazing. Another full screen wonder is a kids film that I never thought I'd own, but actually turned out to be probably one of the top 5 best 3D films there is, and that is A Turtle's Tale. Now, I love the lenticular slip for this. I got this really cheap, and I mean extremely cheap. I got this for £2. And for £2 I thought, oh, this could be rubbish. This is probably, yeah, like I said, this is probably the top, one of, between 2 and 5 of my top 5 best 3D films I own. It's incredible. 3 is excellent. It's much more pop out and in depth than any other 3D film I own. You know, so it's full screen. It's awesome. If you don't like kids movies, if you just want to watch a really good 3D movie, this is the best one to get. Next is Hugo. I absolutely love Hugo. You know, it's Chloe Grace Moretz. I always forget his name. Jude Law. That's it. The reason I forget his name is because I don't really. Well, I like him in Sherlock Holmes and AI. That's it. I don't very much. You got Sacha Baron Cohen, Sir Ben Kingsley. It's just a bunch of really good actors. But the story is absolutely amazing. The 3D, yet again, full screen, perfect picture, pop out was amazing. I was really surprised by this movie. I thought, oh, you know, it's real life. It's not going to be that good, but it's actually really, really, really good. This is probably number 3, my top best 3D films. It's amazing. Next one that totally shocked me, because I've read nothing but instant reviews about this film. on 3D, and everyone insulting it for its 3D, saying, "Oh, it's 3D's rubbish. There's no such thing as 3D for this film. It's pointless, waste of time, waste of money." And that is Yu-Gi-Oh! Bonds Beyond Time. Now, for people who already have seen 2 of my previous videos, I'm a huge Yu-Gi-Oh! Fan. I've got all the Japanese series. I've got cards. I've got binders. I've got play mats. I've got whatever. But I like the series and the stuff more than the actual card game. But I've got these both films on DVD. But I wanted to watch this on 3D. I thought I'd give it a shot. Full screen. I love full screen 3D. Probably my best kind of 3D there is. But then the actual quality is amazing. I mean, the dragons from the cards, they come straight out the screen. The nice Malefic World sequence, which I know a lot of people haven't watched this film, but for the people who have, it's just all so right there. It's just absolutely amazing, and I love it. I love this. It was totally shocked me. This is number 2 on my top 10. Well, my top 10, but my top 5. This is still number 2. And this is Avatar. It's full screen. It's amazing. The colors so much better. The picture quality, the sound is awesome. This is like the 3rd 3D film I ever picked up, and it's just incredible. I'm so surprised at how great this film was, and it's already it's actually my best sci-fi film. Out of all the films I own for a sci-fi section, it's my best sci-fi film. So for this to be number 2 on my 3D is really, really high. It's amazing. It's perfect. I know a lot of people didn't like Avatar, but this on 3D it makes the difference. Like Yu-Gi-Oh! I bought a 3D film for quite cheap, and I thought, it's cheap, it's not going to be good, but I should really not listen to myself when I say that, because this was amazing. And if anyone else owns this on 3D, you'll know what I mean. And it's Doctor Who, The Day of the Doctor. How good did they have to make the program, or this episode, to make the 3D work really well? The Daleks are flying out the screen, the 3D paintings going all the way to the back of the room. It's epic. It's really good. You should, even if you don't like Doctor Who, just please try and give this one a watch. It's amazing. Yeah, against full screen. I think every film I've showed so far is full screen, really. They're my favourite ones. But yeah, the Doctor Who is definitely another pick up, must watch, must buy. It's awesome. It is really cheap to get as well. It's actually it's weirdly enough cheaper than the DVD. So, the next one's a bit of a weird one. I know the British release has come out now, but I ended up getting the Swedish make because the British one hadn't come out yet. And that's The Wizard of Oz. I got this for my mum actually to watch, but I ended up watching it with her, and it's actually, the transfer is really good. You know, I mean, the tornado scene, yeah, you got the Wicked Witch. Looks like she's like properly outside the window, and it's like, yeah, when the witch is pointing her finger out the screen, it does look like it's coming forwards. They've done really well. Not too much to say about it because it's still Wizard of Oz, but it is really good. Number 1 on my 3D best watching and best sport is a film I've done a review about before, but I just it's so good that I've got to mention it again. It's Pacific Rim. I love this story. I love the film. I love the quality. I love the actors. I just love everything about it. And watching the 3D in the middle of the dark at like 2 in the morning, where it's in a dark room, you can't see the casing of your TV, you can just see the screen. It just makes the Jaegers look so much more realistic, to the point where they look like they're like right here, and like, you've got Gypsy Danger's fists coming out the screen, and you're trying to duck in case it hits you, and you feel embarrassed afterwards. But this is a really good film to watch. And if you have got it on DVD and you've got a 3D TV and you want to watch it, get it. It's also quite cheap. It's just really worth getting. I mean, all these films really are worth getting at some point if you do want to watch really good films. I've also got, I know this video's already dragged on, but I want to see if people agree to this. I've got a list of 5 films that I think should go on 3D. One is Disney and the rest are just random. Disney film that I think should be on 3D, WALL-E. Actually, there's two Disney, so I just thought of that one. But WALL-E is the main one. WALL-E should be a 3D film because the space scene is awesome. Watching WALL-E and Eva dance in the sky makes that film just, it would look perfect for 3D. Also, my fiance would kill me if I didn't do the impression of WALL-E, so she's gonna laugh at this later when she watches it, but never mind. Anyway, second one, Incredibles. I think Incredibles, they've done really good with Monsters Inc. and Finding Nemo. Incredibles is another film that should be put to 3D because it would look absolutely amazing. They should do it. Third is Inception. I know people are probably thinking that there's no point for that one to be in 3D, but I think there is, especially when... Oh, what's her name? I always forget her name now. Is it... it's not... Is it Ellen Page? Sounds something like that, but... The one from Juno, anyway, and from Inception. It's when she's, like, sculpting the mind and she's lifting the city up. I think that would look pretty cool. I think that, and the snow scenes would look awesome. Fourth, sorry, RoboCop, the new remake. What the hell? I don't know if I'm the only one, but why was that not put to 3D? That film ruled. It's not better than the original, but it ruled. That should be on 3D, and the fact that it's not made me really angry. I actually shouted at a shopkeeper saying, "Why is it not on 3D?" And the shopkeeper's going, "I don't make them, I just sell them." I felt bad for the guy, but, you know, I was upset. I thought that would be a great 3D film to be released, and they didn't do it. And I guess... I'm trying to think of the last one. I know I had it in my mind. I know it's a sci-fi. I know it's a sci-fi. Super 8. That was it. Probably yet again thinking, I think Super 8 would look awesome. I think it would. Just that's my opinion. Super 8 I think would look actually really incredible. And I feel quite sad that people probably wouldn't agree to that point. But yeah, I think, yeah, I definitely think that would look really good. I do think it'd be a great addition to the whole 3D line. So for people who watch videos about films and you made these films to help go with these films, just RoboCop should be a 3D. Okay? Do it. That's enough of my video diary. They won't all be this long. Just this one I had to do. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video diary. I'm going to give it a week to see how this video goes. I'm probably going to send this video to a bunch of people, like on Facebook or through their YouTubes, and hopefully try and get some people to watch it. And if there's no results by next week, I'm probably just going to delete my YouTube channel. Because there's no point in me making the videos. I don't mind people not watching them, but when you're looking at them and there's barely anyone watching them, you kind of give up hope. So I'll give it a week. By next Friday, if this video or many of my new videos don't really get much viewing, I'll probably just delete the channel. But thank you to everyone who has been supportive of me, and everyone who has actually watched some of my videos and has given me some comments about how my videos are and how I should be carried on. I thank everyone. Right, so enough ranting before this video gets too long, and I'll see you later.